In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I would like to welcome all of you students of today's lesson, which is going to be about Unit 4, writing. Mainly today we are going to practice writing. Let's start by seeing the objectives of today's lesson. Today, inshallah, we will find the place for each meal, match each meal with its memorable characteristics, write a description of a memorable meal, recall elements of unforgettable meal, replace words from the text, state the elements of an unforgettable meal. Finally, we will highlight the writer's feelings. Of course, as usual, we will start by revising the previous lesson from the reading, of course. We talk about this. Okay, so here, as you can see, we have 5 questions, and of course, the answers. In your own words, explain how popsicles were invented. And we talked about this. Okay, how or some foods. Okay, how some foods were invented. Actually, we talked about popsicles here. The popsicles, okay, the ice cream cone, for example. Also, here we talked about the chocolate chips, cookies, okay, and finally the potato chips, and we mentioned that earlier. Okay, so here, for example, number 1, a boy left a packet of soda, okay, out one cold night with a mixing stick in it, and it froze. This is what really happened, and popsicles were invented. Accidentally, of course. Number 2, where was the ice cream cone invented? Where? So here we are looking for a place. So it was invented at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. 3, how did Syrian culture, did Syrian culture contribute, participate, or helped in some way to the invention of the ice cream cone? Do you remember the pastry, when he rolled up the pastry? Yes, the Syrian immigrant, his name is Ernest Hemingway, rolled up his pastry to make a cone for the ice cream. Number 4, what did Ruth Wakefield get from Nestle in exchange of what? Okay, a lifetime supply of the chocolate chips. Finally, number 5, why did George Crumb originally create the potato chip? What happened in the restaurant? Do you remember the customer or the diner there? Very good. So here we call that George Crumb is one of the, he was the chef, and one of the customers, okay, the picky customers, okay, were upset with his potato, and he said that it was thick and he wanted to be thinner. Okay, so this is what really happened, and potato chips was invented. Okay, very good. Now let's move to our lesson, page 62 and 63. What we are going to do today, inshallah, we will do the writing, of course, mainly. And let's read A. Why do you think a meal might be unforgettable? What does it mean, unforgettable? It means that you cannot forget this meal. You cannot forget this meal. What do you think, or why do you think this meal can be or might be unforgettable? Could it be for good or bad reasons? Okay, so here I'm asking you this question. Okay, can you think of an unforgettable meal? Anyone? Why do you remember this meal? Maybe because of the meal itself. You have variety of food. Maybe for the people, the place, the time, or maybe a special occasion. Very good. Now, what we are going to do now is this. we are going to read the text. Which one? I will show you in a second. Read the text and find out. You must find, why was each meal memorable? So the first question, why? Okay, why was the first meal or the meal memorable? B, where was each meal served? Looking for a place. Okay, why? Reason. 2 or B, place. 3, which is C, what were the writer's feelings in each case? What were? So here we have 2 parts of these questions. Okay, highlight parts in the text that convey feelings or attitude. Okay, or attitude. So we will move, of course, now here. This is the first one. Okay, can you read the title? What is the title? This is the title. Too much seafood. Too much seafood. Let's see the second one. The second title. Here. Pepper, sauce, and truffle. Pepper sauce and truffle. Very good. Okay, so we have 2 titles. Okay, which one do you think has a negative meaning or negative impact? Which one? The first one, too much seafood, or the second one here, the pepper sauce? Okay, the first one, of course, has a negative impact because the word too, because of the word too much seafood, too much seafood. Now, what we are going to do is this, as I said earlier, find out why was each meal memorable. B, where, find the place where it's served. And C, what were the writers feeling? What were the writers feeling? Okay, so we are going to read this together. Okay, let's start with the first one. Read along with the audio, please. Then we will come back. Are you ready? Let's start.
Much seafood. A few years ago, we were at a famous seafood restaurant. A friend of ours went overboard and proceeded to order almost everything on the menu. Soon, immense amounts of seafood started arriving on large platters. We ended up with a feast that could have fed 20 starving people, not 6. It was all delicious, but there was too much of it. 3 of the group were determined to clear everything, so they continued gobbling down fish, seafood, salad, French fries, anything that was still on the table. 3 hours later, we split an exorbitant check among us and walked back to our hotel, feeling unpleasantly full. As expected, we all got sick. Our extravagant friend, who had eaten most of what he had ordered, was taken to the hospital. The rest of us were given strict orders to only consume liquids and stay in bed for the rest of our stay.
Going to read the second one, okay, with this title, Pepper Sauce and Truffle. We're going to read and find also the same questions. Why, okay, where, and what was the writer's feelings, okay, the writer feelings. Let's start.
Pepper sauce and truffle. I was flying back home from France. I had been given a first-class seat because the plane was overbooked, and my seat had been given to someone else. I did not, of course, mind the change one bit. I had been traveling on a very tight student budget and had been trying to cut down on expenses, so I tended to skip meals quite often. After the plane took off, I realized that I was famished. Appetizing smells wafting my way from the galley did nothing to reduce my hunger. Fortunately, We were served very soon. I tasted the food and was truly amazed. It consisted of the most succulent, tastiest bone filet and pepper sauce that I had ever had. It was served with truffles and baked baby potatoes with herbs. The pepper sauce was delicious, as were the truffles. I decided that I rather liked flying first class.
Very good. Now, let's go back to the questions, of course. Why was each meal memorable? Number 2, where was each meal served? And C, what were the writer's feelings in each case? Okay, so I'm talking about the 2 titles, okay? Highlights part in the text that convey feeling and attitude. Okay, let's see here. The first one, why? What happened here? Why? I'm asking the first question. Why was each meal memorable? Yes, so here I'm talking about because people ate and what happened to them? Unfortunately, they got sick, okay? They got sick. There was a lot of food, and they got sick, okay? So this is really what happened in the first one. What about the second one? What
Page
happened in the
60.
second one? Here? Yeah, as you can see, this one was traveling, but unfortunately what happened? Another one took his seat, okay? So he was very pleased with the accident that happened to him, okay? The accident that happened to him. Okay, where the food was served? Okay, the first one in a famous restaurant, famous seafood restaurant. Okay, the famous seafood restaurant. What about the second one? Here. Very good. So the second one, where? In the plane, of course. Okay, and the plane, as you can see. The last one, what was the writer feelings? The writer feelings. Okay, so what about the first one? Was he happy? Okay, why? Because when I say he's happy or not, I have to convey, okay, the feelings by underlining, okay, the feelings itself or the attitude, for example. Here, 3 hours later, we split an absorption check among us and walked back to our hotel, feeling unpleasantly, okay, full. As expected, we all got sick, okay. So here, I'm talking about unpleasant experience, okay. Who had eaten most of what he had ordered, was taken to a hospital. The rest of us were given strict order to only consume liquid and stay in bed for the rest of our day. Okay, so the writer was here. He was expecting unpleasant experience of eating the food. What about the second one? Here, I'm talking about the taste, appetizing or something like that. Okay, so here, I tasted the food and was truly amazed. It consists of the most succulent, tastiest bone filet and pepper sauce that I had ever had. Okay, so now I am conveying using the adjectives, of course, as you can see here, how we can convey or give the message clear. Okay, very good. What about this question? Here, number 2, would you have felt differently? Okay, or how would you have reacted in each case if you, for example, faced like this situation? Okay, can you get out of this? Okay, sometimes people get in quandary. We talked about the quandary when you are in a situation you don't know what to do, of course. Okay, but Now I'm talking, would you have felt differently from this one, the situation? Okay, how would you have reacted in each case? When you find a lot of food, and just like our friend here or our guy, when he ate a lot of food and eventually he got sick, and of course the doctor asked him and ordered them to stay at home, okay, and have a lot of liquid. Very good. Now let's move, okay, here on page 62 and 63, of course. What we are going to do today is writing mainly, as I said earlier. Write a description of what? Memorable meal you once had. So you are going to write a memorable meal of you, of course, talking about you. It might have been a special occasion or just an ordinary meal when something special happened. For example, when you go to a holiday, okay, or you gather with a family. It's a special occasion, of course, a wedding sometime occasion, okay? So sometimes these kind of occasions are unforgettable, okay? So you are going to write using one of these, okay? So you need to write a description. Then, before you write, use a graphic organizer, just like this one I'm talking about, okay, the graphic organizer, okay, to use what? Here, to help you remember the details of where you were, who you were with, what you ate, and when it was, and also finally, and why it was special. So now you will focus on who with you, where with you, of course, okay, what, okay, if kind of food and what really happened in this occasion, okay, when, the time, talking about the time, then where, talking about the place, and why it is unforgettable. Why you haven't forget this one, or you still remember this one. Okay, so here you are going to write notes using this graphic organizer. Okay, using this graphic organizer. Of course, I will tell you how you can do this. But first, we need to read, okay, from the right corner how we can write this description. How we can write this description. Now, let's read together. When writing an essay about a memorable event, okay, what should I do? What should I do? The first one, brainstorm and pictures. Try to brainstorm, okay, remember, and picture. What does it mean to picture something? It means, yeah, it means to imagine something, okay, in your brain. Okay, so here brainstorm and picture different events, occasions, or scenes. Very good. Number two, make notes about the pictures in your mind. Okay, the occasion, the special occasion talking about. And you have to make notes, okay, the time, the place, the people, the kind of food or something like that, and why this occasion is unforgettable, for example. Then, think about your reader and audience. Of course, when you write something, a description or something to someone, to the audience or to someone to read it, okay, you have to think about this one. Why? Because and select information accordingly. Here I'm talking about the information to choose. Okay, make sure, okay, check to make sure you would not offend anyone. What does it mean to offend anyone? For example, to insult him or something like that, or sometime to get him angry or nervous or upset with this information. Okay, don't do this if you're going to write description like this, okay? Just check to make sure you would not offend anyone. Focus on the people. Focus on the people. Or the setting. So sometimes the place, okay? Or to describe, for example, the occasion itself, okay? The event, what really happened through the occasion. Okay, for example, if you have met a new friends, okay, maybe sometime when you have another event, okay, or maybe commemorate someone, okay. So here I'm talking about the events. Feelings as required, feelings to express, feelings to highlight the aspect you want to focus on. So you have different kind of aspects you can focus on, okay? We talked about the feelings, okay, the setting, the place, the people, and even the events itself, okay? Very good. Let's see. Now, this is a model for you, as you can see here. This is the title, A Memorable Holiday Dinner. A memorable holiday dinner. So we are going to read, of course, just a short paragraph, okay, about this memorable holiday dinner. Let's start. I will never forget a meal I had during my freshman year. Okay, so here he was at his freshman year of college. So he was in a college at the first time or the first year. Most students went home for the holidays. Okay, so here most students went home for holidays. Which tense we used here? Which one? We used, of course, the past tense, the past simple for the holidays. But some students like me, what happened to them? Who came from different countries, stayed on campus. Stayed on campus because they came from sometime a long way or so, okay, or takes them miles to get back to their families. Okay, so they decided to stay at the campus. What does it mean, campus? It's a place, okay, in the university, okay, or inside a university with a lot of buildings and so on. Okay, it's called campus. Although I had always looked forward to the big holiday, looked forward. Do you remember this? Talked about the phrasal verbs. Very good. Look forward, the big holiday dinner at home. This year I figured would make do with a sandwich. Okay, here I'm talking about doing something differently. But then I talked with a few other students. So now I am talking to get what? Okay, to whip up our own holiday dinner. Whip up, what does it mean? To get excited and so on. Okay, to get excited. Whip up our own holiday dinner. Now you need to think just like this one. Okay, you need to think of the place, people, the setting, where, I'm talking about where, when, why this holiday, for example, for him is unforgettable, okay, or a memorable dinner for him. Okay, so you need to do this actually in your book too, okay, using just like this kind of information. Okay, very good. Now, as I said earlier, use this graphic designer to make notes. Make a lot of notes about who, when, where, why, and what. Okay, very good. And we have reached the final, of course, slide of our lesson. We're today finding the place for each meal. Okay, match each meal with its memorable, and we talked about the characteristics. Write a description of a memorable meal, recall elements of unforgettable meal, replace words from the text, state the elements of an unforgettable meal. Finally, highlight the writer's feeling. I would like to thank all of you for watching us today, and inshallah I will see you at the next lesson. Goodbye.